Hello everyone. In this topic, we'll discuss about Azure ARC. What is Azure ARC? Azure ARC is a centralized management service. Let us say we have multiple resources which are spread across multiple infrastructure. So we have different infrastructure. So let us say this is Azure Cloud. This is our on-prem environment, and this is AWS or Google Cloud. So we have our resources inside Azure Cloud. We have resources in on-prem, and we also have resources in AWS and Google. If I wanted to have single view of all the resources which are deployed across different infrastructure, so basically I wanted to have a single view wherein I'll be able to manage, monitor, and deploy the resources using a single unified view. Azure Arc is the service which provides centralized management service. To provision any of the resources inside Azure Cloud, we have tools to provision, configure, and monitor. So these tools are nothing but our Azure portal CLI tools. But if I wanted to manage the resources across multiple infrastructure, then I need to use something called as Azure Arc. With the help of Azure Arc, we have simplified governance and management, and also we will be able to deliver consistent multi-cloud and on-prem management platform. Let us understand Azure Arc with a scenario. Let us say I have resources which are spread across multiple infrastructure. So these resources are in Azure Cloud. These resources are in on-prem environment, and there are resources inside Google and AWS. For me, I wanted to have a single point of view, a single portal, unified view to manage all these resources. Right. For that, I can use Azure Arc. Currently, not all the resources are supported by Azure Arc. You need to check the latest Microsoft document for the resources which are supported currently. So, we have Azure Arc to manage all these resources. What I need to do is, if I have Windows or Linux server, I need to install Arc agent. There is something called as Arc agent. I need to install these agents onto the server. For each and every server, I need to install the agent. Once the agent has been installed, then I need to onboard these resources using Azure Arc. Once it is onboarded to the Azure Arc, then we will be able to manage the resources. The user who is already managing the resources inside the Azure cloud, for him, it doesn't matter the resources if it is in on-prem or it is in AWS GCP. All the resources will be available in the Azure Arc itself. So you'll be able to seamlessly manage the resources which are deployed in multiple infrastructure. So what Azure Arc does basically is it provides a control plane. So with the help of control plane, we will be able to manage the resources which are spread across multiple infrastructure. It is also good that if you have any applications or resources which are deployed in on-prem environment or any other cloud service platform, if I wanted to integrate these services, and I'll be able to use the Arc to manage those integrated services which are deployed in different environment. Let us see what we will be able to do using Azure Arc. Using Azure Arc, we will be able to manage the entire environment together by projecting our existing non-Azure resources into ARM. So ARM is basically Azure Resource Manager. So non-Azure resources are the resources which are in on-prem and other cloud service platform. We'll be able to manage multi-cloud and hybrid virtual machines. So we'll be able to use the virtual machines which are deployed in on-prem environment. we'll be able to onboard the vCenter itself. So we have the virtual machines which are managed by the vCenter. There can be many data center, many clusters which vCenter is managing. We can actually onboard all these virtual machines using Azure ARC. We'll be able to manage Kubernetes cluster and databases as if they are running in Azure cloud. If I am running Kubernetes cluster in the on-prem environment, so there is a cluster in on-prem environment, and also I have Kubernetes cluster in the Azure cloud. I also have the Azure Container Registry wherein I'll be able to pull the images. So I wanted to pull or push the images to the Azure Container Registry using Kubernetes cluster on on-prem and also the Kubernetes cluster which has been configured on Azure cloud. Using Azure ARC, I'll be able to easily manage these two clusters which are deployed in different environment. One is in on-prem, the other one is in Azure cloud. I'll be able to manage, monitor these two clusters using the Azure ARC. And for me, it is also very easy to manage and integrate these two clusters to use the Azure Container Registry to access the images which has been stored. We can also leverage IT Ops with DevOps with CI/CD. We can also configure custom locations as an abstraction layer on top of Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes clusters and cluster extension. Let us see what are the resource type which are supported by Azure Arc. Currently, these are the resources which are supported by Azure Arc. The servers are Windows and Linux servers, Kubernetes cluster, Azure Data Services, SQL Server, and the virtual machines. These virtual machines which are managed using vCenter and System Center Virtual Machine Manager. So this is for Hyper-V, this is for VMware virtual machines. As per the documentation, 9,500 virtual machines can be onboarded into the Azure Arc. So this was an overview about Azure Arc. In summary, Azure Arc is a centralized management service wherein we will be able to manage the resources which are deployed across multiple infrastructure or multiple environments. Thank you for watching the video. If you like the content, please subscribe and share the video. Thank you and take care.